Welcome back. All right, so some more news of the day for all you fine people on the internet for your Friday, October the 4th. Starting with the New Jersey Devils. The Devils, of course, playing against the Buffalo Sabres today, emerging victorious in that game. That is your first regular season game. I've seen people saying that, and I've seen a couple on the channel and others say, oh, why didn't they advertise more? I feel like this year's Global Series they did okay with. There have been times where the Global Series, I don't feel like there's enough promotion. I think this year they did a pretty good job. I think people just assume it's preseason and just ignore hockey for the most part until that official opening night, which is why I've always kind of been confused by why they refer to it as opening night of the season when there have been regular season games, because it makes sense that people be like, oh, the season starts on the 8th and ignore hockey up until then, which means you're ignoring what was a decent game today. Sheldon Keefe was interviewed after the game. They asked about Kovacevic's goal, and he said, do you mean Kovechkin? So we'll see if that nickname sticks. Sheldon Keefe looks pretty comfortable in New Jersey, and I thought New Jersey controlled that game throughout today. So we'll see if they can do it again tomorrow against Buffalo. We'll see if that consistency's there. The reason for the Flyers jersey, it looks like Luchanko is going to make the team out of camp. So first off, they draft him earlier than anybody else expected. No one expected Jet Luchanko to go where he did. And now it seems like he's made the team in his first training camp. So kudos to him. Even if it's just 9 games and he gets sent down, that is quite something to make it onto the roster your first training camp. Kolosov was amongst the players that were sent to the AHL today by Philadelphia as well. We know that this is how it's going to work, that Kolosov, and he knew when he came over he'd be sent down to the AHL. In the event that he doesn't get to come up to the NHL, he does have the option of going back to the KHL. So we'll see what happens. Jack Campbell, goaltender signed by the Detroit Red Wings this summer. He has now entered the NHL and NHLPA assistance program. So all the best to Jack Campbell, no matter where Jack Campbell's played, and we can all have the debate about how well he plays or how well he hasn't played in some situations, but everybody has always talked about what a great guy Campbell is. So all the best to him, whatever he's dealing with right now, and it's not my business what he's dealing with, but the NHL, NHLPA assistance program has done some good for some players, and so hopefully Campbell comes out the other side better. I know that it's not easy to end up in the AHL for a year after being in the NHL for a while, and I don't know what exactly is going on here again, but all the best to Campbell in getting it together, and maybe he ends up back at the NHL level sooner than later. So yeah, all the best to him. The Mighty Ducks, or just Ducks. I don't think Mighty Ducks works. I don't think you can go back to that. But anyways, the Ducks. Seneca has been returned to juniors, so Seneca's injury definitely hurt his chances of making the team, and now he's been sent back down to juniors, which isn't really a surprise, but it's a shame he didn't get into more preseason action. They have also released Lindstrom and Pesic from the PTOs that they had, so that's 2 more players who did not catch on with their team, Gustav Lindstrom and Mark Pesic. So again, we'll see if they sign in the AHL, if they end up in Europe, what happens there. We shall see. San Jose, and I saw some negative reaction to this online, but let's be honest. Askarov right now does not need to be at the NHL level. The reason he wanted out of Nashville, and I'm just saying this because I've seen people not understanding, the reason he wanted out of Nashville was that UC Saros signs that major long-term deal. He didn't see a route to becoming the starter for the Nashville Predators, and Askarov wants to be a starter in the NHL. So he wanted to trade. He went to San Jose. He has never been of the mind of, I'm not playing in the AHL. He just wanted a chance to become the starter, and now in San Jose, he will get that chance. Not yet. He doesn't need to. They have Vanacek, they have Blackwood. Both of those players are on expiring contracts. So for the 2025-2026 season, he absolutely could be the starter. If he was still in Nashville in 2025-2026, he would be the backup to UC Saros. So that's the difference. That's the difference right there for Askarov, and hopefully he has a really good year for the Barracuda. Some dinged up players for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Robertson, McCabe, and Yarncroke. I think Robertson's probably hurting from carrying the team on his back offensively in this preseason. So hopefully they're all good to go. And again, teams are going to keep guys out of practice and out of lineup for preseason games, because those games are important and you want to make sure they're ready to go for the regular season games. So again, for the players who are just day to day being held out of practice and everything, it shouldn't be a big deal. We'll see in a few days whether or not those players are still being held out. When they're missing regular season games, then there's definitely something to talk about. Voronkov has been placed on injured reserve by the Columbus Blue Jackets with an upper body injury. Of course, Voronkov was part of a key line for them this past season with Chinikov and Marchenko, so we'll see how the lines shake out with Voronkov out. And Jenner got hurt at practice. It's an upper body injury. I haven't seen an update saying that they expect him to miss any time or anything, but it's worthy of note that, if Jenner doesn't finish practice, it might be something to keep an eye on. PTOs, as they continue to fall, McDonough and Leonard were on PTOs with Florida. They are on PTOs no longer. The Florida Panthers releasing both players from their tryouts. So again, tryout season rolls along, and many players don't end up getting those contracts. I don't have it on the board, but apparently Yamamoto and Utah are sitting down, and there's some talk that there's going to be a contract there. So Kyler Yamamoto may have played his way onto the Utah roster, but we shall see when that contract gets signed and which line he ends up playing on. Now, from tonight's action, just some notes I wanted to pass along. The Pittsburgh Penguins had a good night. They win 6-3 against Columbus. Rutger McGroarty, a goal and 2 assists. He was interviewed, I think it was just yesterday, talking about how much fun this is and how great it is to be in the greatest league in the world and all that. McGroarty's clearly excited about being with the Penguins. And again, he's been producing pretty well in the preseason, so we'll see how things go in the regular season. Puljujarvi also had a goal and 2 assists tonight. I talked about Puljujarvi. That was yesterday's video, right? And so Puljujarvi continues to have an excellent preseason. And yeah, it sounds like Puljujarvi is going to be on their roster for opening night as well. The New York Islanders with a 5-2 win over the New York Rangers. Barzal had himself a night. He had a point on every goal. He had a goal and 4 assists. And Siplikov, who's coming in older than most rookies, obviously, but he got signed during the offseason, and now here he is. He had a goal and an assist. So the New York Islanders are counting on him to be a part of the regular lineup this year. And with a goal and an assist, he's been pretty productive in the preseason. So, yeah, all the best to him and the Islanders. Gostisbehere gets an overtime winner tonight for Carolina. They win 2-1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So for Ghost, not his first OT winner, but it's a preseason game, so it gets wiped out right away. Speaking of wiped out, in Ottawa's game, and I tuned in for the overtime of this one on Sportsnet Plus, I tuned in, Gregor gets an overtime winner that eventually counts. Initially, the referee waved it off. I think it was for goalie interference, but there wasn't any. So Detroit fans were seemingly excited that goal was waved off, and then they became less excited when the goal counted, because there was no reason really not to count the goal. If you're going to argue he fell into the goaltender, he was also pushed from behind by Detroit's defender, so that goal counts. And it completes a 3-1 comeback. They were trailing 3-1 late in that one. They tied up. They went in overtime. I mean, a frustrating result, I guess, if you're a Wings fan. If you were there live, it's probably frustrating. But again, it's preseason, so it can all be forgotten. It's just ninja dust, and you use the Men in Black flashy thingy in a couple of days, and it's all gone. It's preseason, so we'll see what happens. There are definitely players who have really good preseasons that just can't produce during the regular season, and vice versa. Players that struggle in the preseason, and then when the regular season rolls around, they turn it on, and next thing you know, they're lighting it up. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.